A 36-year-old woman was brutally gunned down inside her own home by none other than her own husband. But what made this story even more shocking was something that happened over 10 years earlier. That same man had planned a deadly ambush to kill her and her boyfriend. She survived the attack, but her boyfriend didn't. Shockingly, just 2 weeks later, she married the man who had taken her boyfriend's life. Now the same man ended her life too, for one of the most senseless reasons. This is the heartbreaking case of Edwina Brown.
This is your man.
Yes.
Look at the screen.
That's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him.
And that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
Her and walked free. Meanwhile, the two gunmen faced the full force of the law, with one receiving 55 years in prison, while the other was sentenced to life behind bars. But while the world was reeling for the failure of serving justice, what happened next was even more shocking. Just 2 weeks after the brutal attack that ended her boyfriend's life and put her in danger, Edwina married the very man who was responsible for the tragedy she faced. This decision defied logic, leaving the people around her asking, why? Whether out of manipulation or the thought that she could change him, it wasn't clear.
This is your man.
Yes.
Look at the screen.
That's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him.
And that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
Unbeknownst to Edwina, this action would ultimately be the cause of another tragedy a decade later. For almost 11 years, Edwina and Danny lived together and got married. Throughout the years of being together, everything continued as if the tragedy that cost one man his life did not happen. They even had a child together, who they named Danny Maurice Brown III. They would constantly be seen in social media sharing skits of their seemingly happy family. To outsiders, it seemed as though their marriage was an attempt to move on, and a chance to rebuild after the chaos of their past. All this time, she continued with her work, cared for her children, and continued to do her passions in life. But behind the cameras and inside their home, their relationship was far from stable, and it wasn't long until the same violent nature of Danny would surface. And on March 27, 2024, the peace that Edwina had tried to build came crumbling down. That day started like any other, but as the hours passed, tensions began to rise. Around 4 p.m., Danny Brown arrived at Edwina's home at 4704 Fairley Drive in Little Rock, Arkansas, where she had been living apart from him. At first, it was just one of those arguments that couples would have, but soon, the tension between them grew to something even more dangerous. It was at this point when Danny finally snapped. As the confrontation grew more intense, Danny's temper flared beyond control. Words turned into threats, and soon, threats turned into violence. Danny pulled out a gun and shot Edwina. In a matter of seconds, she was betrayed yet again by the man she gave another chance to. The same man who had once tried to kill her, and now had finished what he started 10 years ago. Right after shooting Edwina, Danny took off, trying to run from what he had done. When officers got to the scene, they found Edwina fighting for her life.
On March 27th, around 4 in the afternoon, police say Danny Brown went to his estranged wife's house on Fairley Drive in Little Rock.
The information we have is that Danny Brown entered the house. I guess maybe an argument ensued. He allegedly shot his wife.
It's been over a week since that happened, and police are looking to get Brown behind bars, including the U.S. Marshal's Office, who has been asked to help.
Well, of course, we want to do this as safely as possible. We don't want anyone to get hurt, including Danny Brown. Preferably, we'd rather Danny Brown just turn himself in, do the right thing.
Police have gotten close to arresting him, but they say he's made it clear he will not be taken in quietly.
One of our biggest tips, I guess, came from Danny Brown himself. He actually called the Little Rock Police Department, gave a statement to them, and then made the statement that he would basically either harm himself or harm others if he was ever cornered by, anyone, especially law enforcement.
If you see Danny Brown or know where he is, police ask that you not approach him because he is considered armed and dangerous. You should call the U.S. Marshal's Office instead.
Edwina was rushed to the hospital to try to save her, but despite emergency efforts, she succumbed to her injuries at a nearby hospital. The same man she had once trusted, the man she had chosen to forgive, had now become her executioner. News of Edwina's death spread quickly, and the police investigation immediately identified Danny Brown as the murderer of his wife, and the search for him immediately started.
And Ashley's with us now on set. Ashley, I know you've done a lot of research on this case today. How far are we getting? Do we know anything about this suspect?
Karen, it's still a process. We're still working to confirm a lot, but what we do know is there are possible cases against Mr. Brown right now, possibly out of state, so we're still working to confirm that and make sure that we know everything we can before we report it.
Absolutely. We must confirm. Well, we know you'll do that.